Hi, this is Scott. This is my Sliver Overlord, and it's my commander deck. And no, it's not because it's 5 colors. This is a Sliver deck. Okay. A lot of people ask me why I use the Overlord as opposed to, say, the Queen or the Legion for my general. It's because it lets me tutor for any other Sliver. And the first one I usually tutor for once the Overlord's in play is the Queen, of course. And it's also this nice little gain control of target Sliver. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Land. Yeah, pretty typical mix of 5-color land. Full set of duels and some of the other types of duels and multi-lands that come into play. Tapped on these is really not as much of a drawback in Commander as it is in other formats. So I use a full set of those. And of course some fetch lands, and one of the best fetch lands. Go get a forest and a plains, and with the duels, that's pretty much any 4 colors I need. Any 5 I need, whatever I need. This is kind of fun because I like to build alliances by giving people chump blockers with that, the spirit token feature. Well, it works good with Reflecting Pool. This is kind of good because you know that your opponents are going to have most of the colors you need. When you're 5 color, they're going to have something you can use. This is insane in Commander, and I keep forgetting to put it in my other decks, but you end up with more than 7 cards in hand so many times, that lets you keep them. I really like this one just because it messes with other decks, well, like my Aiden Oakenshield deck that love to abuse the graveyard. Well, if you're going to have creatures, you're going to have Gaea's Cradle, and if they're going to have creatures, you're going to have something to stop them. Again, this works so well in Commander because they're going to have a color that you can use. I love this card because they can't really kill it very easily. The classic. Get things back. Go get the land you need. Go get pretty much any land you need. And this is insane because it gets 4 different dual lands. Go get a creature or whatever you need. This is kind of fun because no one expects white to basically bring something back from the dead, but there it is. Love this card. I've talked about it over and over, but it changes the way your opponents play. Chord of Calling, good way to go get whatever sliver you need most. Draw a bunch of cards, of course. Go get 4 different things that you can use. Probably 2 ways to get them back, like a Regrowth and a Breath of Life. Fact or Fiction, it's still good. Oh, and Masahi Oiso, one of my favorite players. Counterspell, people kind of sneer about Counterspell in Commander, but there are times when somebody wants to do something really rude, and I just don't want them to. Soul Manipulation is kind of a fun counter because it can also be just recovering something or counter something or both. Well, I do have a lot of blue, so you got to play that. And, well, if you're going to counter something, why not make it something that you get now? Speaking of stealing things from other people, Capsize is a classic. Love it with buyback. Wipe Away is great because of the split second. It stops a lot of shenanigans. Again, Krosan Grip, split second, as opposed to a naturalize for 1 less mana. The extra mana never matters in Commander, really. Vindicate, good card. Sudden Death, of course, good card. A few typical removal spells, and then the unexpected removal spell of, no, I don't think you want the Blightsteel Colossus, I think you want a 3/3/8. Not a lot of elves in Commander, and if there are, then I probably don't care about destroying them, so I love that one. A lot of times you go through a lot of turns without getting damaged. Of course, once you play this, then everybody starts hitting you with whatever damage they've got. I mentioned I like stealing other people's stuff. This is a lot of fun with that Sliver Overlord ability of gain control of target sliver. Well, anything can be a sliver, as long as it isn't pro-blue or pro-unnatural selection. Well, if you're going to play slivers, you have to have a Heartstone. And if you're going to be putting sliver tokens into play, well, and if you're going to have a lot of slivers, again, land tutoring is really important, especially when it's a creature. And maybe my favorite creature land tutor of all. Love getting Genesis in the graveyard because that keeps bringing whatever I want back. And I seem to play this in every deck I can. This is kind of a fun card. It gets to become whatever I need it to be, including maybe a copy of a legend. Sakashima the Imposter, again, it allows you to change things about the game that people weren't expecting. Now this is just so abusable when you turn your slivers into Gemhide slivers, and they all tap for mana and untap on every player's turn, and you have a Sliver Queen in play, you start pumping out slivers every turn, especially if you can give them all haste. Avatar Woe, who doesn't play it, especially when it's the cool one that they gave out at the Pro Tour signed by Arcade Post. What a great card. I mean, I can play it with the 5 mana cost, the 5 color mana cost. I can go ahead and pay the full cost sometimes, but once this is in play, everybody tries to kill it. Must be good. My first sliver. And then the real slivers, you know, for the mana, for the haste, for the regeneration, to throw them at targets and do damage. You know, give them double strike, make them that much better. This is a very tricky one. I have to be careful. I don't play this one. I need to be able to block things. But this is even better, actually, than the Shadow Sliver because almost no one else has slivers. The Brood Sliver is great. Once you deal damage with a sliver, things just start expanding. And if you've got this with Doubling Season, it gets stupid. Snap Sliver, again, abuses dealing damage, combat damage with slivers. I get to draw an insane amount of cards. Another way of protecting the slivers. This is a good way of making them very effective. And then this is the best way of protecting slivers, of course. I have never been allowed to untap with these two cards in play. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they think I'll start destroying everything on the board. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'd start doing. And the Sliver Queen, of course, is my favorite, even though it's not my general. And thanks for watching CMDR Decks. Please subscribe and favorite.